I started hiking in Georgia at the very end of March in 2022. So I started hiking on March 30th and I didn't finish until would have been September 16th up in Maine. That is almost 2,200 miles. I believe the total this year came to 2,194.3 miles. In the beginning, it was a little bit slower. I was anywhere between like 10 and 15 miles for the first month or so, and then it was between 20 and 25 miles a day for the most part, up until I hit the whites. Then it dropped back down to about 15 to 20 miles because they're a bit steeper. I think my longest day was 29.7 miles. So an average day on the trail, you'd start in your sleep system, whether it's a tent or hammock. I woke up honestly later than a lot of people because I hiked decently fast. So I typically woke up between 6:30 and 7 every morning. You get up, you make yourself your meal. I didn't bring a stove, so I just cold soaked. It was almost always oatmeal or a couple of energy bars. And then you pack up your gear. It's probably about 20 minutes to pack everything up, and you take off hiking, and you hike until some people stop for lunch or a snack. Really didn't stop again for more than like 20 minutes until you're setting up camp, which was typically between 5 and 6 in the evening. You set up camp and you again cook your meal, and I would have lots and lots of ramen and then it was back into your sleeping bag about 8 o'clock every night. So lots of people brought stoves. That was the most common thing that you would see on trail. It would just be a small fuel canister with a plug-in stove on top that you would cook lots of pastas and grains, really. For me, I cold soaked so that I didn't need to carry a stove or fuel. So all it was a talenti jar, actually, that I would put most often ramen, couscous when I could find it and get it pretty cheap. And you just put that in there with water, and couscous took about 20 minutes, so I wouldn't have to pre-soak that at all. Ramen, more like 45 minutes to an hour, and it would just sit there and it would absorb the cold water, and then you'd eat cold mush. So my sleeping situation was a 2-person tent. You can barely fit 2 people in there, so realistically it was enough space for me and my pack. And I had a foam mat that was just an accordion folding mat for a while, and then I went to a blow-up sleeping mat. It was air-filled, and then it had a little bit of foam in there for cold protection, and then I had a sleeping bag on top of that. So most of the time I was in my sleeping bag from about 8 at night to 6:30 to 7 in the morning, but honestly it was really more like 2 to 3 chunks of 3 to 4 hours of sleep, but something would always wake you up in the middle of the night. It was always a disturbed sleep, even though I was in my sleeping bag for about 11 hours a night. The last 10 miles approaching the base of Katahdin, I think, was my favorite. You wind your way along Katahdin Stream. It's this beautiful wide stream with some rolling waterfalls, and the trail is nice and spongy. It's pine needles, which is a really, really big relief after all of the granite through New Hampshire and southern Maine. So it's just a beautiful stroll to finish out the hike. I think for me the most challenging thing was just keeping myself motivated during the day-to-day. There's really not much to your day. There's not much of a change. You get up, you eat something, you start walking, and you don't do much of anything else with your day. So it gets really tedious really fast. And so when you're doing that for 6 months, it's hard to motivate yourself to keep going. There's no real extrinsic value with completing the trail. It's just because you want to do it. So you need to find something to motivate yourself to do that. When you're out in the middle of the woods and your home is waiting for you, you can go back at any time. It's really hard to keep plugging along, staying out there. The best advice that I could give someone is to just talk to as many people as you can, read as much as you can. Just accept the fact that all of those answers, all of the information is correct, but it also doesn't need to be correct for you. There are so many different sleeping systems, different ways to cook things, different things you could be eating, different timelines that you can hike the trail on. It really doesn't matter. They're all correct. Just find the thing that works best for you. If you want to sleep in a hammock instead of a tent, that's fine. People are going to swear by that. People are going to swear by not doing that. Really, it's just what's going to work best for you. So get all the information that you can, but then just stick with whatever you think is going to work best for you, regardless of what people say, because it's really your own hike. So hike it the way you want to hike it.